Right, so I'm recording this video again because this mic, or probably actually this audio interface, is not working properly. And that's great, that's just lovely. It sounds really weird. I'm going to turn the volume on this just a bit. So I'm recording this video again. It's about self-care, sort of-ish. I'm looking at, like, posts that I've sort of collected. Some of them collected over time, some I pulled up just now for this video, because, like, I wanted a few more for, like, extra content or something. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't, some of them I agree partially with, and I'm just sort of giving my take on them, I guess. It's not terribly deep or interesting, but I just wanted to do this, sort of say my opinion. Maybe someone watches this and it makes them think, and it makes it really, I convince them. Maybe it doesn't. That doesn't really matter. I just want to make this video. The first post we have. I like the concept of it. I like the intention behind it. Your nose is the right shape. Your skin is the right shade. Your lips, hands, and feet are the right size. Your height is perfect, and so is your natural hair color and texture. Your voice and laugh are perfect. Whatever you dislike about yourself is just in your mind. And if you have to take it within this context, I think it's supposed to be taken in, it's fine. You can go literal, and you can say, like, obviously, people who have been through foot binding, which is a barbaric tradition process, and I don't think it's practiced anywhere anymore, but it was in the past, like not even 200 years ago. If you've been through that, your feet are not the right size. It doesn't mean you're any less valuable as a human, that you shouldn't be loved and cared for, but your feet are not the right size. That's just a fact. But also, this part, whatever you dislike about yourself is just in your mind. Outside of this context, that could be very false, okay? You could have some serious stuff wrong with you, okay? And maybe you need to seek help. Maybe you have massive character flaws. Maybe you're a jerk to everyone. And if you dislike that about yourself, that's not just in your mind. You're actually a jerk. Well, it could be. You could be a jerk. You could also just think you're a jerk and you're actually not, but I don't think that's that common. But in this context, this isn't bad. I think it's kind of nice. Remember how far you've come. Now this one I just agree with. Yeah, okay, don't be comparing yourself to how... Don't compare yourself to where other people are now. Compare yourself to where you were then. And look at how much progress you've made, right? So I like that one. I think it's good. What's that noise? I don't know. You are not a burden. You could be a burden, actually. I disagree. You could be a massive burden. Let me just pull up the definition of burden here really fast. Okay, right. Where was I? I had to pause the recording. Oh, yeah, a burden. As I was saying, you could be a burden. You could be a massive burden. But if you look at the definition of a burden, it's just a load. A typically heavy one. You could be a burden, but that doesn't mean you aren't loved. It just means maybe people have to put more effort. They have to put a lot of effort into it. They have to do more to help you. But that doesn't mean you aren't worth it. That doesn't mean they don't care. And I think that's a problem. Because if you tell people you aren't a burden when they feel like they are, and you're lying to them as they slowly figure out that they are a burden, then they start to think that that's an awful thing, and that, oh no, I shouldn't be burdening people. No. Just say, look, sometimes you have to put in more effort with the ones you care about. Or something like that. I don't know how to tell people that they're a burden. Yeah, you wouldn't want to tell people they're a burden, but you wouldn't also just want to be like, no, you're not a burden, it's alright. If you have to put in tons more time and effort with them than you would with other people. So that's just my opinion on that. You might be a burden, but that doesn't mean you aren't loved. Some burdens are worth carrying, and just because you have a burden doesn't mean that you'd want it to take itself away from you, whether that's through suicide or just isolation. You are not a bad person. How the frick do you know? Imagine Hitler reading this. The person reading this, like, there could be, like, serial killers scrolling through this and, like, oh, I guess I'm not a bad person. There could be freaking child molesters. You don't know that someone is or isn't a bad person. You don't know that at all. Why are you making this statement? You don't know this. This is so stupid. You are unique. Yeah, this is true. Everyone's unique. But some people are more unique than others. And you might not be especially unique. Your life is worth living. Yeah, in most situations I'd agree with this, but like, if you're, like, in the extreme situation, like you're being tortured in some freaking camp, and they're gonna, like, execute you in 3 days, like you're in some, like, Russian prison or something, maybe not. I'd rather be dead personally, probably, but, you know, in general, this is one I'd put. Your feelings are valid. To an extent. You feel like your feelings are always sort of valid, but that doesn't mean they're correct. Okay, like, feeling angry when you're the one who's wrong someone else, like, let's say a common one is, like, don't feel bad for, you know, setting boundaries. You see it on these self-care things, and it's not wrong. Like, if you need to set boundaries, set boundaries. But people always call the people that get mad at boundaries, and it's like, they call those people toxic. Aren't their feelings valid too? What if you feel offended and hurt because the person you're being toxic toward or abusive toward sets boundaries? Your feelings aren't really valid then. And that's why these things are stupid. Okay? If you applied both sides of a lot of this self-care logic to the same situation or the same person, it would clash so damn much. Let me just freaking pull up another one of these and find one. It's time to cut off people that feel you leaving worse about yourself. This person is not a burden, okay? If you make other people feel worse about themselves, don't worry, you're not a burden, okay? And if that person cuts you off, and you feel like that's rude and hurtful and cruel, don't worry, your feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid, okay? That's why I think this is stupid. But anyway, next one. You can do this. Like, it's a nice inspiration, but there are lots of things you can't do. And so from a very technical standpoint, false, obviously. I'm way too happy about calling this false. I shouldn't be. But yeah, no, it's a good thing to tell people. You can do it. I tell people that all the time, or semi-often, even if I don't know if they actually can. But I like it. It's a nice thing to say. Okay. Oh, your mental health problems don't make you unlikable or unlovable. So the first time I recorded this, I mentioned that technically pedophilia is a mental health problem, and even if you've never molested a child, this will make you unlikable and unlovable to a lot of people. And even just like small things that aren't actually bad might make you unlikable or unlovable to a lot of people. And this comment, which I already liked because I already saw it the first time I recorded the video, yes, it does. I lost a lot of friends and relationships because of my mental health. Whenever people see the real me, they always leave and I always fall for the wrong people and cause myself more pain. I'm broken and ugly, and no one wants to love the depressed, lonely girl, and it's true because of how many people I've lost. How do you explain that? Yeah, no. This is bullshit. This is stupid. Your mental health problems, even if, and they probably aren't your fault, they might make you unlikable and unlovable to lots of different people. Doesn't mean you're less valuable as a human being. But lots of people might not like you because of them. This is true. Okay, this also. You are enough. You are enough for what? For what? It's like the... Which one is it? I think I already closed it out. It's the you are worthy one. Like, worthy of what? You are enough for what? What are you enough for? Think. Okay? I don't know, it doesn't make sense. Like, you are valuable. You are important. You are a human being, and therefore you have value. But that doesn't mean you're enough for everything, okay? I don't know, it's stupid. No, I think stop doing this. I'm gonna speed through this one because I read it before. Well, I've read most of these before. There's like, this one I haven't gone through all the way. This one I haven't looked at all. And then this one, I'm going to just talk about briefly. I'm going to push this one to the absolute back because it's the one I haven't looked at all. 9 things to stop doing. Stop lying when someone asks if you're okay. I kind of agree with this one, but at the same time, it can be really annoying if you're not okay and you don't want to have to freaking explain to people why you're not okay. So you just say, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's convenient. Stop telling yourself you're not worthy of healthy love. I don't know. Like, I kind of agree with it, but at the same time, I guess there's like a bunch of different layers you could probably unwrap in this that I don't have the time, or I guess I do have the time, I just don't care to. And there's probably problems with this. Like, what if you're a mass murderer? What if you abuse everyone you're in a relationship with? Are you still worthy of healthy love then? Like, it has a specific target to where these things apply, but they're just out there as if they apply to everyone, when they don't. Stop rewarding bare minimum effort. And my basic take on this one was, like, consistently no, but like if you see no effort and then you see bare minimum effort, you reward that effort, so you see more effort. Stop trying to heal people who don't want to be helped. My basic take was was some people can't be helped, but some people who just don't want to be helped can be helped. But it's not your job to like waste your entire life trying to help someone who doesn't want it, obviously. Stop talking yourself out of big dreams. My basic take on that one was just, yeah, you probably shouldn't, but also there are some things you can never accomplish. Stop pretending something doesn't bother you if it does. My take on this one was, I agree, but just because something bothers you doesn't mean it should bother you. Stop believing words without action, follow through and back it up. I agree. Actions speak louder than words. If you say something, you say you'll do something, you say you believe something, and then you just go and show the opposite. Doesn't mean a whole lot. Stop avoiding your pain by numbing or distracting yourself. I agree, but sometimes you do need a distraction. Stop seeing red flags and constant arguing is passion rather than manipulation. And I agree, that's true. Like, and even if it is passion, if their passion is so different from yours, that whatever relationship it is probably needs to end because you are not gonna work out. How to support someone who is suicidal. Things not to say. Yeah, okay, this is just, as much as I can understand someone saying this is manipulation, like, it is. You're so desperate for attention. This is stupid. Yeah, I agree with this one a lot. Like, don't say that. These all sound cringe, but like, I get the point. I acknowledge your pain and what can I do to help. I'm glad you came to me. I'm here to listen with no judgment. Your life isn't that bad. Other people have it worse. I guess if they say a very specific thing, you could say this, but in general, I would really, really avoid saying that, because that sounds like a very bad thing to say. I'm here for you, let's find the help you need together. I agree. Unless you can't actually be there for them, in which case, don't say that, because don't offer help that you can't give. I understand what you're going through. Maybe you do. This is the one, like, people always, like, never say stuff like this, but, like, if you understand, that can help them. Like, having someone who understands your pain or understands your trials and your suffering, and who can talk through them with you, and like help you through that, could be honestly really valuable in my opinion. And I don't know why you would take the opportunity to sort of go along with them and help them through it with just, I'm sad you're hurting like this. How does that help? Who does that help? Look, my life is just a mess, okay? I feel like nothing I do is enough. I feel like no one truly sees me, and I feel like I'm all alone. And I'm sad you're hurting like this. No, if you understand what someone else is going through, and you, like, actually do, and don't just assume you understand, like, make sure you actually do, then maybe tell them, and share your experiences with them, and help them understand that it does get better. If it got better for you, maybe it can get better for them as well. You don't have to just give such empty phrases as, I'm sad you're hurting like this. Suicide is the coward's way. Yeah, I agree. In most cases, this is a stupid thing to say. It just is. What's going on that makes you want to die? Look, I'll be like, I've wanted to kill myself before. I've tried once, sometime back. What's going on that makes you want to die is the last phrase I would have ever wanted to hear. I would not ask someone that. That feels like a great way to sort of get at pain in a way that makes neither of you comfortable and doesn't actually help with anything, there's better ways to sort of get the information and get the connection gained from this without saying what's going on that makes you want to die. Suicide is so selfish. Yeah, don't say this to someone who's suicidal. As a general statement, I agree. Suicide is very selfish in a lot of cases. Sometimes I don't think it is, but in most cases, suicide is indeed selfish. But no, you shouldn't. If someone's depressed and contemplating suicide, don't be like, dude, suicide's so selfish, man. Don't do it. Okay, like think of all the people you're hurting. Dude, think about me. You know, you're not alone. I love you. It's not a bad thing to say, but I don't know how it's like the opposite of this one. Like maybe kind of, but I don't know. But overall, this isn't a bad post, except for this one. Okay, this is by no means better than this. This is an empty phrase that does absolutely nothing for anyone, and this one could be helpful if you truly understand what they're going through, and you've been through it yourself, and you've struggled with depression, and you've been suicidal, maybe you've even tried it before. I feel like giving your perspective and showing them that you do relate to their pain and helping them through that could be very, very helpful and very valuable. Things you don't need to feel guilty about. Okay, like declining a call, telling people no, your flaws and imperfections, being unproductive, doing what's best for you, standing up for yourself. This is another one that's like, yeah, how can being unproductive be on the list? I didn't understand this, but I think they meant that being productive is good, but everyone needs some rest. Yeah, that's a good take. But any of these in some context could be bad. Okay, and declining a call, in general, is probably fine. But there are scenarios in which this is bad. Telling people no, like once again, this is one of those like, you don't owe anybody you don't owe anybody anything statements. Just because you don't owe anybody anything doesn't mean that you shouldn't help them. Okay, if some poor person is dying by the side of the road, and you like blood makes you squeamish, like you're like, please, please help me, I'm gonna die. No, I'm sorry, I gotta think of myself first, you know. Don't need that stress, that drama, that anxiety. No, okay. You can tell people no, like you're allowed to. But you should feel so guilty if someone is dying and you could have given them just a bit of help and like called an ambulance or something. Obviously most situations won't be that extreme. But telling people no. Sometimes you should feel guilty about this. Your flaws and imperfections. It depends on what they are. You know, some people's flaws are just that they get offended a little easily, or that, you know, maybe they're not the best at doing things. You know, other people's flaws are that they're freaking serial killers and they murder people and rape people. Like, you should feel guilty about that, like, obviously. But that's the thing. These are meant for, like, a specific target audience, and they just don't work outside of that, which makes them totally useless because they're being just put out there. In specific situations, most of these statements are okay. If your friends call you a lot and it just talking on the phone makes you anxious, you could tell someone, you know, declining a few calls. You don't feel guilty about that, okay? If it makes you anxious, if it makes you stressed, then just decline. And you know, if you're someone who says yes to everything, yeah, don't feel guilty about telling people no. But if you make this into like a large thing, also doing what's best for you, okay? Doing what's best for you could often be very bad for someone else. If you lived in Germany in 1945, maybe what was best for you and your family was working at a concentration camp and killing people. Because, you know, it helped your social standing back then. Maybe you get paid I don't even know what the German soldiers got paid. Maybe you feel like it's a way to progress your career, you know? And, you know, Jews aren't people anyway. Doing what's best for you could be very awful. It could be horrible. Major corporation. Oh, John D. Rockefeller, who shot strikers. He was doing what was best for himself. He was increasing his bottom line, getting himself some more cash. And he killed strikers. He had them shot. Like, that's not a good thing. Doing what's best for you could often be bad for society, could be bad for innocent people. To an extent, you have to look after yourself first, but this, actually taking this and, like, believing it as a fact instead of just something to be applied to some scenarios is so dangerous. This one I agree. Standing up for yourself. Like, yeah, if you stand up for yourself. But this one could just be over that one. Just get rid of this one and just put standing up for yourself. In most cases, this is perfectly valid instead of that one. Like, doing what's best for you. I wonder if there's any comments that mention this. Okay, anyway, I'm not gonna read all these. The last one. 8 uncomfortable truths that we all need to accept. This applies to all of us. Keep that in mind. Okay, all of us. This isn't just to some specific target audience. This is to all of us. Taking no risk is the bigger risk. You have to risk failure to succeed. You have to risk rejection to be accepted. You have to risk heartbreak to love. If you're always avoiding risk, you're missing out. You're risking missing out on life. And obviously, sometimes taking no risk is a much smaller risk than the large risks that you could be taking. In fact, often this is the case. But I agree with the overall message of this. I think it's pretty good. Call yourself out. The most common reason why people keep making the same mistakes is because their insecure ego prevents them from taking responsibility for their own bullshit, their own toxic traits, and their own mistakes. You have to call yourself out. Calling yourself out means you care more about your future, your progress, and your happiness than just protecting your ego. I agree with this, but I thought your feelings were valid. Okay? I agree. What is this? But no, I agree with this part. Closure is your choice. Closure isn't an apology or justice or answers. That's insecurity. If the situation made you feel awful, seeking closure by reopening it is insanity. Closure isn't something they can give you. Closure is moving on. Closure is your choice. No, that's stupid, okay? Like, if your freaking parents commit suicide, you never understood why, and then you find a freaking diary that has their mental states at the time, like their writings, that could help you get closure. Was it me? Was it something else? That can help. Closure isn't just going, I don't care about this anymore. It's stupid. Okay, I don't, like, this is common sense. I don't think closure is as simple as you're making it sound. In fact, I think that part sounds really dismissive. Yes, I'm working on moving on, but sometimes things from my past pop up and hurt me. Very common with PTSD, and I'm sure others. Yeah, and, like, sometimes you just, like, it's not insecurity. Like, if it's an apology, maybe. Or justice. Like, okay, let's say you get raped. Or a close family member is murdered. Justice can be some excellent closure. Imagine knowing that person is not running around out there. Imagine knowing that society sort of agreed that, yes, what they did was awful, and that person was brought to justice, and you no longer have to worry about them being out there. That's great. That's a lot better than just moving on, you know? It's like with frickin', I hate this show, but 13 Reasons Why, when I think it's the jock guy assaults Hannah Baker, and the guy's like, you know, best thing you can do is move on. Closure. That's how she gets closure. She just moves on when the counselor tells her to. He doesn't need to get expelled. He doesn't need to get arrested. No, Hannah Baker can just move on. So how that turned out. I mean, it's a stupid show, but still. If you're happy alone, you'll be happier together. I agree, this is a stupid saying. There is no type of affection that... Oh no, this is something we need to accept. What? Not necessarily. If you're happy alone, you'll be happier together. There is no type of affection that can fill the void in a person who doesn't love themselves already. There is no independence in dependency. There is no personal security in attaching yourself to a secure person. Until you have a healthy relationship with yourself, you won't make healthy decisions about someone else. Yeah, I genuinely agree with this. There's probably some exceptions, but for the most part, yeah. But this part, if you're happy alone, you'll be happy together. No, there's no proof that you'll be happier together. But I think you do need this first part to get this second part. Anyway, so that was the video, and I am going to go now, but hopefully I will see you again at some point. Thank you for watching.